what I and other House leaders who have been pushing the border adjustment, I still think it's the way to go. I think that's the right kind of tax reform plan. But if it's going to stop us getting to consensus to get tax reform done, then we don't want that to happen.
House Speaker Paul Ryan swallowing his pride by deep-sixing the border adjustment tax, which he had pushed for, in order to advance tax cuts and tax reform. Today's the day the House prepares to depart for the August recess. But before he leaves town, Congressman and Freedom Caucus member Mark Sanford is on the House Budget Committee. The Republican from South Carolina is here. And sir, you really did not like the border adjustment tax. And so in a way, this is a victory for you. But you're not here to take a victory lap, right? You have some concerns about what happens next.
No, I mean, it wasn't me. I was reflecting the view of a lot of folks I heard from at home. I happen to represent the port in Charleston. We have a lot that goes out, a lot that comes in from other places. Places like BMW have a lot of component parts that come from across the Atlantic, and so it was an important issue for me. But I got to give real credit to the Speaker, to people like Kevin Brady, who worked awfully hard in terms of trying to advance a tax package. And what we have now is a tax package that I think you're going to increasingly see consensus around now that the border adjustment tax distraction, if we want to call it that, is off the table.
Okay, how do you get consensus without at least turning to the Democrats here? Are you against bringing the Democrats into the conversation, or do you look at that as how John McCain looks at it? You got to get them on board in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, in fairness, I mean, there are, a number of Democrats that have small businesses or large businesses in their districts. They've got taxpayers in their districts who are going to care passionately about this issue of tax reform. There are a lot of people out there at an entrepreneurial level whose efforts are being retarded and constrained by our current tax system. So I think it's something we will be able to see ultimately bipartisan support on.
We absolutely need it, and I wish that we had tackled that first. But in the meantime, the BAT that you didn't like was supposed to raise at least $1 trillion in revenue to pay for tax cuts. How do you fill that hole? You're a member of the Freedom Caucus. You also believe in conservative fiscal spending. How do you fill that hole?
Well, one of the ways, for instance, that you could fill the hole is, and life involves a lot of trade-offs, one of the things that was built into the tax bill was full expensing. It does give us an economic boost, but it's very, very costly. If you eliminate full expensing and left in place depreciation schedule, but still lowered rates, you would be able to have that gap filled. In other words, the cost of full expensing is more than $1 trillion. The BAT would have raised a little bit more than $1 trillion as well.
Well, because, we've heard reports that Steve Bannon, one of the president's top aides, has said that the wealthy should pay more, and he defines wealthy as people who make $5 million or more, totally unlike the Obama administration, who added a couple of $100,000, which, in New York, that doesn't go very far. In the meantime, he has said that the wealthy should pay a 44% tax rate. What do you think about that?
That's not what's in either tax plan right now. I mean, whether you look on the Trump plan currently or on the Better Way plan, as it's called, neither one of those entail that. All of them involve lowering the marginal rate, one, boiling it down from about 7 rates down to about 3, but 2, lowering those marginal rates for everybody. And we do have a progressive tax system, so some of the people at the most happen to be the folks that pay the most, so it makes sense to me that they see a tax break as well. I don't think they should be excluded from a tax break.
We've got to pay for all of this somehow, but I hope you guys can cook up a recipe that tastes good to both sides. Congressman Mark Sanford, are you leaving town?
Yes, ma'am. I'm headed for South Carolina.
Safe journey. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.